The meeting hall was silent when the HOA president slammed her gavel. "This community has standards," she shouted, her voice echoing through the cheap fluorescent lights. Everyone stared at me, like I was a criminal, for daring to love someone outside their perfect little world. The air was thick with judgment, whispers slicing through the silence. My heart pounded, but I didn't look away. I'd spent years paying dues, keeping my lawn trimmed, smiling at these people. And now they thought they could dictate who I could love? Rumors had already spread online. Unfit influence, outsider, troublemaker. But what happened next would flip this neighborhood upside down. They said my girlfriend didn't fit the HOA image. She rented, not owned. She wasn't on their mailing list, didn't show up at barbecues, didn't post in the HOA Facebook group. That alone made her suspicious in their eyes. The board decided to hold a review meeting, their polite term for public humiliation. "This is about preserving our culture," the president said, looking down her nose at me. She'd been running the HOA for nearly a decade, a self-appointed queen of cul-de-sacs, obsessed with control. She bragged about rules and regulations like they were holy scripture. But this time, she'd crossed a line. Behind her polite smile was something uglier: fear. She was terrified of losing control. Because if the neighborhood realized they didn't need her permission to live their lives, her reign would crumble overnight. The truth was, this wasn't the first time she'd targeted someone. There'd been the retired veteran who parked his RV too close to the curb, the single mom fined for her son's skateboard ramp, even the elderly couple forced to repaint their fence twice in 1 year. But no one had ever fought back, until now. She'd gotten used to obedience, to seeing people lower their heads, sign the citation, and quietly comply. That's why she underestimated me. She didn't realize that love, when threatened, becomes something fierce. I moved here 5 years ago, hoping for peace, safety, a decent place to call home. My girlfriend, Maya, was the first person who made this place feel alive. She taught art classes downtown, spent weekends planting flowers on street corners the HOA ignored. When she waved to people, they smiled back. Not because they had to, but because her warmth disarmed them. She didn't know about the HOA politics when we started dating, but once word got around that she wasn't a homeowner, the whispers started. He could do better. She's not one of us. By the time she attended her first community event, the tension was already crackling. Yet through it all, she smiled. "They'll come around," she said softly. "They always do. Kindness wins." She had no idea how wrong she was. The board meeting that night felt like a courtroom. The president sat at the front, flanked by her loyal officers, all in matching blazers, clipboards stacked high. The room was packed. Even the local news had shown up after catching wind of the romance scandal. She started with fake sympathy. "We all value your contributions, but your recent behavior has raised concerns." "My behavior?" I interrupted. "You mean my relationship?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. "We're not here to discuss personal matters," she snapped, her smile tight. "We're here to discuss community standards." I could see Maya's reflection in the glass door, nervous but unbroken. That was my breaking point. "You don't get to decide who I date," I said, my voice rising. "You don't own people. You manage landscaping." The room erupted. Some gasped in shock, others nodded quietly. The president's eyes narrowed, the first crack in her polished facade. 2 days later, everything exploded. Clips from the meeting went viral. Neighbors had recorded the entire confrontation. Within hours, hashtags like Eero, Love Not Rules, and EAA Rebellion were trending. Comments poured in from across the country. "HOA dictators are out of control. Stand your ground, man. Love bureaucracy." Even local radio picked it up. Suddenly, our quiet suburban bubble was national news. The HOA tried to issue a clarification letter, claiming they never prohibited relationships. But screenshots, Emails and meeting minutes told another story. The truth was out, and the neighborhood was furious. Within days, the board's power started crumbling. Homeowners began questioning old fines, demanding refunds, attending meetings they'd long avoided. Someone printed the viral hashtags on yard signs. Maya and I woke up one morning to see "Love Wins Here" banners hanging from porches. The president called an emergency session. She looked exhausted, mascara smudged, voice trembling. "This has gotten out of hand," she said. "No," a voice from the back replied. "It's finally in our hands." That S, when it happened, a vote to dissolve the HOA's discretionary morality clause. Unanimous. For the first time in years, people cheered inside that room instead of whispering fearfully. Weeks passed. Things slowly changed. The HOA still existed, but its power had been stripped back to what it should have been all along. Maintenance and community, not control. Maya's art mural now covers the entrance wall, a painting of intertwined hands surrounded by blossoms titled, "Freedom Grows Here." The same people who once glared at her now bring her coffee and thank her for bringing color back to the block. And the president? She resigned quietly, citing health reasons. I don't think she'll be back. Looking back now, I realize this wasn't just about who I could date. It was about ownership, about whether love and individuality could survive inside walls built for conformity. People think rebellion starts with shouting, but sometimes it starts with saying no, calmly, firmly, and in public. So if you're watching this and your HOA, your boss, your community, or anyone else tries to tell you who you can love or what you can be, remember, their power only exists until you stop giving it to them. The moment you do, you'll find out just how many others were waiting to do the same. And that's when everything changes.